Thank you for tuning in to the Reel Sisters ATL. I'm Allison.
I am Christina.
And yes, we are
Reel Sisters. Okay.
All right. We have got an explosive one for y'all today.
Yes, we do. I'm so excited.
This one is such a good one. It's a ultimate classic. There was so much going on in this film.
It was.
I've been super excited about doing this one. It's one of my all-time favorites. But before we get into it, please click below to like and subscribe, tag, share. Tell everyone you know to chime in and join us. We're going to be reviewing so many more of your favorite horror classics, and you do not want to miss it. So, without further ado, we'll get into what we're reviewing. Wishmaster! It starred so many horror villains.
Yes.
It starred Andrew DeVoff, of course, and the starring role as the Djinn, but it also starred Robert Englund, who we all know as Freddy Krueger. Kane Hodder made an appearance. Jason Voorhees for all of our Friday the 13th fans. And of course, we can't forget
Tony Todd,
aka Candyman. So, I mean, with this star-studded cast, we just knew it was going to be an absolute winner. So,
absolutely.
I guess we'll jump right in.
Yes.
I guess the film, it started in like ancient Persia, I think. Where it sort of pans into this palace and this king or the prince or whoever wanted some special powers, and so the Djinn rolled up on him, who we were introduced to in the beginning of the movie, where there was this long biblical script. And
I remember that.
Yeah,
I was a little nervous when I saw that, because
right. You know, once they take it back to biblical times, you know it's about to get real.
Right.
So, the Djinn is there and is, you know, promising him all the riches in the world if he just makes a wish. And so I think he made some kind of a wish to see like the wonders of the world. The Djinn says, okay, your wish is granted, but it went completely left.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone that was in the palace was like going crazy, turning it. Once somebody turned into like a big old lizard.
Yeah, it was
life-size lizard.
What is going on?
Yes. I mean, it just got so gruesome and so gory. So y'all chime in below and let us know what your thoughts were when, I mean,
everything just took a complete left.
Right. What your thoughts were when the movie just went from 0 to 60 and we were only 2 minutes in?
I was like, my face was completely stuck. I was like, oh my goodness, like, what's going to happen next? Like,
right. So, I mean, obviously the Djinn gives you 3 wishes, and so it was time. That was actually the Emperor's, I think, his second wish.
Yeah.
So he had one more, but some kind of sorcerer kind of interrupts things and runs in and is like, wait, don't do this, you know, because the Djinn is like, oh, well, you can always wish to reverse everything I just did, but as you know, some of you have seen the movie may know, once you make that third wish, it officially releases all of those demons from the Djinn and they take over the world. So sorcerer rolls up and is like, hold up. So he makes whatever wish or says whatever he has to say to like draw the Djinn back into this diamond. And so it fast forwards to modern day where I guess like this man, he's having some artwork or, you know, these fine statues delivered in. And
must be nice.
Right, one of the construction workers just happened to be drinking on the job.
Come on.
Spills like his spiked coffee, and he's obviously running like the forklift or the crane or something of that nature, and he has butterfingers. And the crane, he loses control of this crane or this big container containing the statue. And it drops on the man?
Yeah, it drops on the man. And everybody looking around like, what's going on?
Exactly. So the man is crushed by this big statue. So it cracks. And then that red diamond or the red gem from the beginning we see rediscovered in that statue. So I think one of the construction workers sees it.
Yeah,
and
one of
so
them sneaky hands.
he starts, sticky fingers. He's looking around and he's like, okay, I'm taking this one for myself.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, he probably ready to quit.
Right,
And he
early
looking for-
retirement.
He looking for a quit button. He looking around. He like, hold on. Nobody watching. This could be worth millions.
Exactly.
I mean, what would you do if you see a diamond just sitting nowhere? No one's looking at you.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to quit your job.
I'm already
right
planning
now.
out my trip to some getaway island, top-notch service, 5-star.
Like, would you even give a notice, or like, what would you
Notice? Oh my goodness! Y'all let us know. Would you give notice if you found a potentially priceless gem in, an expensive statue? Y'all let us know.
So what's so funny is it transitions to where this homeless man, he's sitting there arguing with this doctor in front of what looks like the doctor's business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that he's there all of the time. The doctor is like, look, you need to get away from here. So they're like arguing back and forth, and he's saying all of this crazy stuff. I was cracking up because that homeless man was like, look, don't get it twisted. Just because I'm homeless, I am not the one or the two.
Exactly. That scene was epic.
And so they're going back and forth. And then the homeless man, he's passing the alleyway where I'm assuming he usually is, just relaxing. And then he hears what he thinks is, just some average guy.
Right.
And it's really the djinn, and he's asking him, so I heard you're saying all of those things to the doctor. Like, do you mean them?
Do you mean it?
So, the homeless man is looking at him like, maybe.
Sorry, you're a little creepy.
Yeah, and
rolling up on me in the alleyway.
And then I don't know if you noticed, like the homeless man was like, look, I just need some jack and a
hot shower.
Right, and a cigarette and a hot shower. Like, look, whatever it is.
Yeah, the gin is getting super deep. Like, oh, would you give up your soul for it?
He's like, look, I just want to relax. I want to kick back.
Right.
I know I can relate because especially those days when it's long and hard, you want to have a nice drink and just relax. Cheers to that. So the djinn is asking the homeless man all these questions like, hey, do you want to do all of those things?
Right.
And the homeless man said, you know what? I wouldn't care if he got cancer and died. And then next thing you know, the doctor is in his establishment and he's serving a customer, and he just starts seizing.
Yeah, starts convulsing and like all of this pus is coming out of his face and he's like foaming at the mouth.
It was a lot.
So the homeless man is obviously creeped out because
he's
like,
standing there watching.
How am I telling you to get rid of this man, or he should just die, and then 2 seconds later it comes to fruition. It's like, okay, crazy. This is creepy.
It was a bit much. It was so crazy. So then it transitions to where he's in this morgue because I don't know if you guys remember, he had the face of like a devil. Like his face.
When he appeared in the lab. So to backtrack, the gym kind of passed quite a few hands from the construction worker. I think he pawned it. And then an older man brought it to like the auctioneer's office. And then so they had the diamond appraised, or the gem appraised.
Everybody's clearly trying to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, and so this gem is becoming, more and more rare, seemingly priceless. Mm-hmm. Alex, I believe her name was, she gave the gem to her friend at the lab. And so he's trying to look into it, but the gem, I think, explodes. And then that's when we first discovered the gin. Yeah. And so that's how that ended up coming about. That was just a bit much. That beginning, that scene right there.
It was explosive.
And then he was like crawling like so slow.
Yeah, like
towards the guy.
Just imagine you not being able to move, and you have some type of creature like
crawling before. Oh my gosh. Like, I can make your pain go away. And he did, because he took the man out of his misery.
I'm like, that's messed up.
Yeah.
And then I was hoping the man like get up, maybe, have an opportunity to grab something, hit him with something. A huge mess. So then we transition to where he, at this point, he wants to find a new face. He's
Right.
looking very devilish, and of course, you're gonna cause attention. I mean, you looking like that.
It's
so
time to
he
take on human form,
Yeah.
you know, so that
So,
you can
yeah.
reel people in to make their wish.
Yeah, because if you looking, you know, kind of nice and clean cut, which
Yeah.
you know, which he ended up doing
Mhm.
later on in the movie, but during this time, he's in the morgue. He comes across this face, and he's like, "Look, I'm about to, you know, go ahead and cut it off. I'll cut it off. Whoever died." He like, "Look, they don't need their face, don't worry."
Right.
He
They
like,
don't
"Look."
need it.
Right, they gone. So as he's doing that, you have this lab technician, I'm assuming, he's, you know, coming in, and he makes some comment like, you know, about seeing, or it was kind of crazy, but next thing you know, they shut the jinn shut his eyes completely shut.
Yeah, they were like stitched closed. It was really creepy.
It was a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get to the point where at this he's transitioned. I
Yeah,
mean, he's looking
like
good.
Sliced the face off and morphed it into his, and then he completely, you know, puts on this suit or has a suit on before you know it, and it's like, okay,
Right, like how all
GQ.
of that like how all of
He
that
went from, you know, demon to GQ cover
Magazine.
page. Yeah,
the front page of GQ. I'm like,
exactly.
that was a bit much. So it gets to the point where he's trying to find like clothing. He wants to make sure that he's willing, or whatever soul he wants to get a hold to, he can do it easily, and it's easier to do it if you look human-like.
Right.
So he goes into the store, and then you got this beautiful lady in there, and she's checking him out because she like, look, because he asking her, you know, how does it
He
look?
walked in suave.
Yeah.
He was flirting a little
I
bit.
was like, okay, you know, I would have been like, all right, yeah, look good, baby.
Right.
So, you know, he's asking her, she's asking him, well, hey, how are you going to pay? And she's like looking at him up and down, and he's like, you know, how do you want me to pay? And she's like, cash. And then next thing you know, she has the cash in her boobs.
Right.
Like it just appears, and she's like, hold on, where does money come from?
Yeah.
I would have been like,
there's more where that came
right,
from.
I would have been like, baby, you want to go shopping? Me and you, I can leave work right now.
I can clock out.
So, and then he just gets really mysterious, like, do you wish to be beautiful forever? Like, what kind of question is that?
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, I'm going to be. You know, I would have been smart with it. And she's like, well, yeah. And next thing you know, he turned her into a mannequin.
Oh, yeah.
He
He said, you want to be beautiful forever? Consider it done. And the lady's walking around, they pans to another patron walking past the counter, and she walks past what appears to be the cashier having been turned into a mannequin.
That was a bit much.
Yeah, that scene caught me off guard. I didn't know whether to laugh or be like confused. I was like,
I was so confused.
Turned her into a mannequin.
And then it
I did not see that coming.
Me neither. I guess when I thought about what could potentially happen, like I was thinking maybe she'll start shaking, or you know, start turning into a lizard or something, but not a mannequin out of all things.
Right.
So then we get to the point where he's on this quest to find the gemologist who got a hold to the diamond.
Right.
Because it seems that every time all of these occurrences are happening, she's feeling it, and she's like shaking
she's
and
having
going
like
crazy.
these weird visions
Yeah.
anytime someone is, you know, reaching their demise as a result of making wishes with the jinn.
So he's on this quest to find her. So he shows up to her establishment. He's like, look,
right,
I'm gonna find you at work, sis, because you know, at the end of the day, I need her so that she can grant her 3 wishes. I can take her soul. She can come with me.
Right.
So he goes to her job, and he runs into the security guard. And I thought this part was so funny.
Oh my goodness, it was.
So he goes to the security, and he's like, look, I'm looking for such and such. And the security guard like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And then he makes the comment like, you have to go through me to get through the doors.
And I'd love to see it.
Ooh.
And that demonic look he made walking back down the hall, like to face him head on.
It was.
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know if you noticed that red light too, that like
Yes,
flash,
like that flickering light. I knew it was about to go down.
Mhm.
So he turns around and morphs the security guard, or almost melts him into the glass,
It was
and walks straight through him. And he's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to go through me." He's like, "Okay, say no more."
like he went through him literally. He's like, look, you know. And then I think he insulted him in the beginning, like little man or something like that.
Doorman,
or something of that nature.
Mhm.
So at this point, it kind of and it was like a lot going on. But then it gets to the point where they finally come face to face. The Jen and Alex. Yes, and how it happened was he played like he was her friend, like having a conversation with her.
It was creepy. I think it was like the historian, or she was familiar with the folklore or something of that nature, but she's at the woman's apartment and she turns around and the Jen is standing there. And he's already taken her friend out.
I'm like, come on, the friend too.
Yeah, so now he wants her to start making her wishes, and even offers to give her a free wish. And she's like, okay, blow your brains out. But I think we all know, in typical horror movie fashion, that would have been too easy.
Too easy.
So, he blows his brains out and his head closes back up immediately. So
I was like, that is just so typical. Like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And then he morphs back into who he was. I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go. I'm like, this is gonna be a long night.
It's gonna be a long night. As if it hadn't already been long enough with all of the havoc he had wreaked thus far.
Yes, it was just
he was taking any and everybody out. So
it was crazy. So then she is able to escape, and some kind of way she ends up at this party where I think it was the museum where everything kind of I'm not sure, but anyway, it was a party going on,
right?
And none other than Tony Todd, aka Candyman, was the doorman.
He was the security.
I was like, God.
Had security. Yeah, so she gets to this party and she's like, listen, he is behind me. He's trying to get me. Please stop him. So Tony Todd, doorman, he is at the door and he's like, hey, I'm head of security. Your name is not on the list. You're not getting in. And the Jen is like, I'm going through you whether you like it or not. Ooh, I'm getting into this party. And he's like, listen, I don't make deals. You're not getting into this party. Your name is not on the list. And so he says, you can't possibly make me believe this is all you do for a living, is stand here and, watch the door, a rope clipper.
I'm like, that's so insulting.
Right. I mean, yeah, he would have had to square up, So he's like, how would you like to escape this, everyday life as a doorman?
Ooh, that's...
what would you like, what would life be like if you could just escape? And he's like, he
starts thinking about it.
It's not too bad. So he says, okay, say no more. And he's walking through the door through the party, and then it pans to Tony Todd in almost like in a straight jacket or chained, and he's in this water torture chamber.
Yeah, it was some type of chamber.
Almost like Houdini style. I think the Jen even made a reference. It's like, oh, Houdini did it in 2.5 minutes, and I'm like, no.
I'm like, come on, not Candyman.
I know, this just cannot happen to a legend. So he gets in this party and turns it all the way up.
Yeah, that scene right there just had me. I'm like, not Candyman. Right. So we get to the point where she's in this museum, or the party, shall I say. She's running around. She gets a hold to one of her close friends, which end up being Robert Englund. Yeah. And she's talking to him, trying to explain to him that, the Jen is chasing her. And then next thing you know, he turns into a lizard.
Yeah, I think he starts bleeding from the mouth. And then, he kind of turns into some other kind of animal or something. And then the statues start to come alive. Goodness. So you've got this medieval soldier that's throwing some kind of like
sword or something.
that's throwing some kind of sword, and I mean there was like a ninja.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, it was another medieval warrior with like the ball and chain. Oh my goodness.
Just picture
It
if
was-
you're at a
it was
museum
insane.
somewhere and then something starts moving.
And the statues start coming alive, you know, at first and last visit.
I could imagine. So it gets to the point where she comes face to face with the djinn again, and he's like, "Make your third wish."
Mm-hmm.
She makes her wish, and she says, "I wish that the guy wouldn't have been drinking on the job."
And that's in reference to days prior where the man was drinking on the job, the crane fell, and that's what started all of this, where the gem was discovered. So basically her wishing for him to not have been drinking on the job basically undid all of the mayhem that had went on. So that kind of caught the djinn off guard.
He was like stuck.
Wait a minute, what does this mean? So this kind of erases all of the damage I've done, and it kind of sucks him back into that gym where he was.
I was like, good.
And it seemed like it kind of panned back to like 2 or 3 days prior, to where, you know, the man had not been drinking, and everybody was sort of back in their original state. But I think that Alex had like this sense of relief, because I think she was aware of what did take place. But she was, you know, relieved in the fact that it had been, you know, undone. So yeah, I had to say, after watching this, I had so many emotions taken away from this movie. And it's like, I mean, this film gave Be Careful What You Wish For a whole new meaning.
It really did. I was so taken back, because it was so many parts that we didn't even get to cover in the movie, that I was like, oh my goodness. Chime in below and let us know what part we didn't cover that really just sparked your attention.
Right.
And that had you on edge, like, what is going on?
Right.
And I would have to say that this movie was definitely one for the books.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to be coming back with so many good episodes. You don't want to miss it. Again, do not forget to click below to like and subscribe. Pass the word along. And we'll be coming your way with some of your favorite horror classics. You never know what we'll feature next. And thank you for tuning in to the Reel Sisters ATL. And yes, we are
Reel Sisters.